Hello and welcome to the latest podcast. I'm your host, JP John Poz. With me today, he's the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Believe it or not, he's, of course, the former head writer for the
What do you mean, believe it
WWF.
or not? What do you mean, believe it or not?
Because I don't believe it. I
Believe it,
still,
man. Believe it, son. Believe it.
of course, the head writer of the WWF, which I definitely do believe skyrocketed those ratings back in the Attitude Era, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, what are you doing? How you doing?
What is going on, John? How are you today?
I am doing good, doing very good. Now, we always kind of start off with some topical stuff because I know you love current wrestling. I know you love talking about current
Love it.
wrestling.
Love it.
But it's interesting. I noticed recently you were talking about Bash at the Beach 2000 again.
Right. Because yes, an interview resurfaced. I guess Bubba the Love Sponge spoke to Hogan right after the incident. And a lot of people were asking me to comment on it, bro. And I mean, I really had nothing to say about it, but so many people are, DMing me and stuff. So I just addressed it on russosbrand.com.
I thought that was funny. They're like, oh, this is unreleased. It was out there. Then they took it down, I guess, and they put it back out there. But it's not really Bubba. I think or maybe it is a part of Bubba, but some Bubba's Army thing, whatever that is.
I think actually, bro, I heard from Bubba's producer and they want to have me on their show tomorrow. So, I mean, I know it was on his show.
Right. I knew, but I wasn't sure, like, if Bubba actually posted that or reposted the
I don't think
quote-unquote
it was
unreleased
him.
audio.
I think it was somebody else. I think it was someone else. Yeah.
Do you like, rehashing that again? Because then you're going to go up other love.
I hate rehashing it. I mean, it's good publicity, bro, to get on Bubba's show. I mean, that's why I'm doing it. If it was, Joe Blow, I wouldn't do it. I've never been on one of Bubba's shows. I worked with him a little while at TNA. So I mean, I just thought it would be good for my brand and whatnot to go on the show.
You better put Hogan over. You better.
Bro, the only thing is, honestly, bro, with Hulk, I was reading these comments. Bro, I don't know if he's working or not. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard for me to say anything because I don't know how long after the incident they did the interview, and I don't know if Hogan's working or not. So it's very difficult for me to comment. Bro, I'll tell you exactly what happened with Hulk, man. Mm-hmm. And we've spoken about this. And again, man, I totally get it. I have no animosity towards Hulk or anything like that whatsoever. This is 1000% what happened and why it went down the way it went down. First of all, in this piece, it's insinuated that I was upset with Hulk because he played his creative control card. That is a lie, bro. Hulk negotiated getting creative control in WCW as he did in TNA. I'm not going to hold that against Hulk Hogan. I mean, my God, WCW gave him creative control. So if Hulk decides to play that creative control card, I'm not going to have any heat with that. That's in the contract. I knew that was in the contract. The only thing that did disappoint me is when I did send the second script to Johnny Ace to get Hulk's approval, Hulk approved the second script. So now I get on the plane and I'm going to Florida, wherever it was, Tampa, I don't even know where it was, and I'm under the assumption that everything's hunky-dory. I find out a couple of hours before the show that Hulk is going to play the creative control card. And I was like, wait a minute, bro. You agreed on the last script. That was the only part of it. The fact that he agreed to it and then 2 hours prior, he's not going to do it. As far as him playing creative control card, I never had a problem with that. He negotiated that in his contract. He had every right to play that card whenever he wanted to. I had no problem with that whatsoever. So everything you saw on television, everything you saw on the pay-per-view, okay, was every single thing that was discussed in that trailer between me, Hulk, and Bischoff. It played out to a T. Now, I use the words to Hulk. I mean, the whole idea was after Jarrett lays down for you, okay, bro, I had to figure out a way to get Hulk out of the building, Hulk and Eric out of the building, so I could go back in the ring and reset everything and make the match between Jarrett and Booker make sense. So that's why we agreed. I said, bro, after Jeff lays down for you, we got to play it like you and Eric are so upset and so bullshit at me that you actually leave the arena. Reason being, you got to be out of the arena when I come my promo, because if you're not out of the arena, you would have to come out and kill me during my promo.
Yep.
You can't be in the arena when I'm cutting the promo. And bro, what I said to Hulk was, I'm going to cut a scathing promo on you. That was the extent of what I said, because John, every promo I ever cut in my entire career, bro, I didn't rehearse. I cut the promos on the spot. Like, I was always in the moment, and I never rehearsed what I was going to say. I didn't write anything down. It was like I was really always in the moment. So when I tell him I'm going to cut a scathing promo on you, I don't know exactly what I'm going to say. And he never said, well, what's the promo going to be? I just used the word scathing. Then how we ended the conversation was, bro, since I found out about this change so late in the day, and now I was scrambling to just get this show done, okay? What I said to Hulk is, because I think there was a Nitro the day after, I said, Hulk, as soon as I'm done with TV, as soon as I get home, I will call you and we will discuss where we go from here. And bro, on my children, my wife, my 92-year-old dad, I will swear to anything, that's exactly what I told them. That was my intention. Because, that night, bro, I just had to get this show done. I could not sit there with Hulk and talk about creative after this. It was like literally, bro, maybe an hour before showtime where we agreed on all this. Okay? So Hulk said, cool, no problem, brother. We were all on the same page. Everything played out according to plan. Now, bro, two things happened after everything was agreed on and Hulk left. Number one, bro, that night and the following day, all over the internet, bro, everybody thought it was a shoot. Everybody thought Russo got over on Hogan. Russo told Hogan what somebody should have said to him years and years ago. It was all over the internet. They 1,000% bought into it. Yep. Okay, so now Hulk, who's home in Tampa now, and again, bro, this is between the pay-per-view and the time when I get back to the office, he's reading all this shit. And it really is looking like Russo got over on Hulk Hogan because everybody bought into it. Okay? So now, bro, just like planned, we do the pay-per-view, we do Monday Nitro. I go back to the office on Tuesday. Okay, this is when, not that I'm supposed to call Hulk on that day, but I was supposed to call him when I got back from TV. That was the plan. So That day when I'm in the office in Atlanta, Brad Siegel calls me into the office. And he said, oh, Vince, what happened last night? And I laid out exactly how it happened. And he said, how did you leave it with Hulk? And I said, I told Hulk I would call him when I got back from TV. And Brad Siegel looked at me and said, Vince, you can't call Hulk because I can't afford to put him on TV. So now, bro, you got to understand, this is the head of TBS and TNT. I mean, Brad Siegel was the most powerful man in the company. Brad Siegel is telling me not to call Hulk. Meanwhile, as a man, I gave Hulk my word that I was going to call him. And I had every intention of calling him, bro. It wasn't the end of Hulk Hogan. We just had to figure out creatively where we were going to go. He had the belt. I said that was a bullshit belt. This is going to be the real belt. Of course, the story was going to continue. I didn't know the financial situation WCW was in at the time. That wasn't my wheelhouse. My job was to write the show. So when Brad Siegel says, don't call him because we can't afford to pay him, I listened to Brad Siegel and went against my word. So now Hulk is sitting on two things. He's sitting on everybody bought into this. Everybody believed it. It looks like Russo got one over on me. And on top of that, he's not calling me back like he said he would call me back. That's when I got the letter about the lawsuit. And bro, like I completely 1000% understand all that. I get all that. But like, bro, to this day, when I go back and I look at it, I'm like, bro, when the freaking head of the network is telling you do not call Hogan, are you supposed to go ahead and call Hogan anyway? You know what I'm saying? I mean, bro, like a lot of times with situations like this, John, I will look back and say, bro, you should have done this. I can't necessarily say that here. Brad Siegel ran the freaking network, bro. Like in the position I was in, how could I possibly go against what he's telling me not to do? I hated the fact, bro. I hated the fact that I told Hulk I was going to call him, and I didn't because of what Brad said. That really, really bothered me. That's why I get the lawsuit. I understand the lawsuit. I understand why he was upset. But I mean, like I said, bro, when the head of the network is saying, don't call him, it would have been very difficult for me to call him.
Now Hogan says, I think he was talking to Bubba about this on the thing that was unreleased and just came out, but he was saying basically he gets paid when he's working, so he had to reach a certain amount of dates. And I guess Brad Siegel knew that, but he didn't relay that to you, that he had to reach a certain amount of dates and never met the date.
All he said to me, bro, was I can't afford to pay him. That's what he said to me. Bro, you got to understand. And a lot of people, they find this so hard to believe, bro. And it really is because of their lack of knowledge in the wrestling business. Bro, I am the writer of the show. I don't know anybody's contract. I don't know how much they're making. I don't know lengths. I don't know, are they getting paid per appearance? I don't know. That's quite frankly, John, that's none of my business. I don't need to know that stuff. I need them to tell me when somebody's contract is coming up, when somebody's contract is expiring, when somebody is not going to be renewed. You know, all that stuff they've got to tell me because that involves the writing. Every time they told me that, I never asked questions because that's not my job. My job is, Vince, here's the roster of the talent. These, go write the show. I had no idea, bro. And I don't doubt what he's saying for a reason, for a second. I don't doubt that for a second. I had no idea what was in Hulk's contract other than the creative control clause, because as a writer, I had to know that because I had to send Hulk stuff to approve. So that information I needed to know. I didn't need to know information about how much money he was making and how many dates and all that. That didn't affect my writing of the show.
Do you think you should have called him and told him, "Hey, Brad Siegel said not to call you, so
No,
maybe you
bro.
want to
That
call Brad
yeah.
Siegel," or no?
Yeah, no, because bro, then what is he gonna do? He's gonna call Brad Siegel and say, "Hey, Vince said that you told him not to call me." No, I mean, of course not, bro. Like I said, bro, I never, ever give my word and don't live up to it. And I had every intention in the world of calling him. We could have done some real interesting TV. I mean, like I said, nowhere in my mind was Hulk done. I mean, that wasn't the intention at all. My whole goal that night was, bro, we all agreed, and it was on paper that Booker T was beating Jeff for the title. So that whole night, bro, all I wanted to do was play out what was written. Once we did that, now I will worry about where we go from there, and that's where I was going to call Hulk.
All right, so Bash to the Beach, we'll push that aside. Got to mention this to you. I don't know how much you've talked about it. I'm sure you had it, sure you joked around about it. The WWE sale. Okay, so they sell, 9.3 billion, all this other stuff. What do you think of the Vince McMahon mustache? And he's going on after the sale on these big networks talking about what's going on there. Is it a rib? What's going on with that?
I don't think it's a rip, bro. Listen, I gotta tell you, and I talk about this all the time. Bro, Hogan's moniker was the immortal Hulk Hogan. Bro, Vince always meant that for himself. I mean, bro,
Really?
I'm telling you, man, Vince thought he was immortal, with the working out and with the not getting sick and the not wearing coats in winter and all that crap. And you know what, bro? Here's the bottom line. You can go to that gym 10 times a week. Bro, when you're looking in the mirror and you are freaking aging and you are starting to look like an old man, because I see it every single day. Guess what, bro? That's reality. That is, yeah, bro, I'm aging just like everybody else. I'm getting older. I am not going to live forever. So to me, that was Vince somehow, some way in his mind, turning back the clock, because it's not just the mustache and the dye job. He had work done. You can clearly see the dude had work done. And it's like, bro, get all the work done you want. Dye the shit jet black. You're going to get old and die, man. Like, it's accepted. You're going to get old and die. And I really think, bro, like that's what the guy's struggling with right now.
So his brother Rod lived to be 78. So his brother was older than him. He lived to be a few years. Vince will be 78 very soon. But Vince's mother was 102.
My dad's 92, bro, But yeah, you can't, bro, you can't stop the aging process. You can't. That's why I got to tell you, a big pet peeve of mine is, John, and I never really talk about it because I don't want to get in any freaking not that I don't want to get in any trouble, because F everybody. I just don't want to hear it. Like, really, I don't want to hear it. Bro, all these women in wrestling that have had cosmetic surgery done at a very early age. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, my God, there are some girls, bro, that if you take before and after, if you look at before and after pictures, they look like completely different people. They don't even look the same. And I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, at least Vince is 77. Bro, there were some girls like literally in their early 30s. that are getting work done, and it's like that to me is such a turnoff, bro.
It is, yeah. I don't mind the Botox and the lip things. Yeah, I'm not a
Oh
fan of that
my
either.
god,
No.
we're all gonna get old and die, man. Like freaking get over it, man. It's life, man.
I just thought it's so funny. Like Vince was always against facial hair, was always shaving and making sure there's no facial hair. And then he has this horrible, I don't know, Clark Gable esque. I don't even know what mustache that is, Snidely, whatever his name was. Like that.
Snidely whiplash.
Yeah, that weird mustache. Like I don't know, it's just weird. All of a sudden, he did
Now,
that.
who was it that said it? Was what one of the brand? Oh, it was Al Snow. Al Snow's theory is that Vince has a younger girlfriend.
Mm.
That's Al's theory. So Vince himself is trying to look
Right,
younger because he's got a younger girlfriend.
right. He was spotted out with a younger woman a few times. Not
Yeah,
crazy young, but probably
yeah,
20 years younger than him at least. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
So that could be it. Al might be onto something. Al's pretty smart, so he
yeah.
might be onto something.
But that's
But
the thing, like John, I want you to know, like honestly, like I know you're a big Hogan mark, and so am I. Like I never stopped being a mark for Hulk Hogan, never, ever, ever, ever. And that's why, bro, this bash at the beach was so played up over the years, bro. To me, this was just another story, and that's why, bro. I never had any heat with Hulk over it. But like the only thing was, bro, when we got to the defamation of character lawsuit, that's when I really said, like, really, bro? Like we were in a wrestling ring during a wrestling show. I'm referring to you as your character name. Are we really going to go through with this? Like that was the only thing. But bro, I never had any animosity or was upset at him or anything because I totally got it and I totally understood.
maybe that lawsuit could have been a way to get some money back because Brad wasn't going to book him for his dates.
Well, bro, here's what I found out later on. When he sued me for defamation of character, he was suing the WCW at the same time. And by suing me for defamation of character, like even though they knew there was, bro, he called you Hulk Hogan. Like there's no way in the world, even though they knew that, the fact that he sued me along with WCW made their WCW lawsuit stronger. And that's why they did it. And bro, I totally got that, but I'm going to be honest with you, John, it wasn't fun for me to be dragged through depositions and all that bullshit. I had never had to do that before, John. I never got sued for anything. I've never been in any kind of trouble. And to have to go through that process basically because that helped him with the bigger lawsuit, that was a little bit of a pain in the ass for me.
Was yours thrown out? Your lawsuit?
Oh yeah, twice, bro. Like the first judge said, "Let me get this straight. This is a wrestling show. You're in a wrestling ring, and he's calling you
Storyline.
by your character name." He threw it out, bro. They appealed it, and the second judge said the same exact thing. How can you sue me for defamation of character when I'm referring to you as Hulk Hogan?
Right. Did
So,
he win the WCW? He won that one, didn't he?
well, it got back to me like when my lawsuit was thrown out. I read it in an interview, or it got back to me somehow where Hogan said, "Tell Russo I got my money." So whether he settled the bigger one or whatever, I think they may have settled, bro. I don't know, but apparently he got what he was after with WCW.
All right, let's change topics. Let's talk about the real topic at hand. One night only, a WWF pay-per-view on September 20th, 1997. This was a UK only pay-per-view, and we'll get into the particulars of that in a second, from Birmingham, England, from the NEC Arena. About 11,000 people were on hand, so pretty good card. Now, the pay-per-view buys is not good because it was only limited availability. It was in the UK, so it's only about 20,000 pay-per-view buys, but that's a whole different story for maybe a different day of like why the backs behind the scenes they decided to go a different direction with it, because there's a UK version and then there's a US version. The US version we'll talk about all the matches. We won't just talk about the UK the US version versus UK. But Bret and Undertaker, which is the rematch from SummerSlam 97. This is, a month later they're having this big rematch, a little bit over a month. But they're not on the poster and they're not on the US pay-per-view. So if you're just in the US, not paying any attention, not following the internet, which is not that strong at this point, you don't even know that Bret and Undertaker are on the card, and it is the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight Championship match. It's a rematch that Undertaker kind of got screwed from the night from the month before at SummerSlam '97 from Shawn Michaels hitting him over the head with a chair. So I don't know. Like, let's get into this first. So, are you there? What's going on?
I was not there, bro. My whole career, I never left the United States ever,
Oh,
bro,
wow. Okay.
because I didn't want to. Number one, I don't like traveling. Number one, I don't like long plane flights. And number two, number three is I didn't want to leave my family and go that far. I didn't. I never, ever. It wasn't until, bro, once I was out of the business, I made 2 trips to the UK. And while I was out there, I went to Germany and I went to Ireland. That was it. While I was actively working for those 3 companies, I never once left the United States.
So is that okay with Vince McMahon that
Yeah,
they're like,
it's okay with Vince McMahon, bro, because it wasn't really an important show. So as I'm staying behind in the US, it's because I'm working on shows. So, basically what they really needed at this show was just the producer. And I'm sure that was Pritchard. I mean, no, I'm sure Bruce went, and I'm sure Bruce, produced the show, whatever they did backstage and whatnot. But yeah, man, I stayed behind and was working on Raws.
when this is going on, what is the role this on? Like, you're writing, but are you moving up the ladder? Like, where are you seated as far as the creative process?
It
Head
was,
writer
bro.
yet or no?
No, 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 no. It was, bro. Like I said, man, the head writer. God, bro, I'm watching the shows now, and Tyson just came aboard. They're working towards WrestleMania 14, is it, with Shawn in Austin?
Yep.
And bro, like every single week, I see more and more and more and more me. But this early, bro, you said it was 97. What month?
September 20th, 1997.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I'm really, and WrestleMania 14 is 98, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, bro, I'm just really getting my toes wet in the water at this point.
Because 2 days after this, Raw from MSG 9/22/97 feels like a very Russo-esque,
What what what,
Attitude Era-esque show.
what is that? What is that?
So, Cactus Jack versus Triple H in that Falls Count Anywhere match, where it's basically a hardcore match, which is great. Austin's first stunner of Vince McMahon was on that show as well.
Yeah, was that at MSG?
Yes, Madison Square
Yeah,
Garden.
I
Yep.
remember that was a big deal to do it at MSG. I remember that. But yeah, I mean, bro, I'm on the cusp. Bro, you got to understand. I am, maybe it's because my New York background and growing up on Long Island, bro, I'm very street smart. So it did not take me a long time to learn the politics of the business. So I knew quickly, bro, they all, and I'm talking about Vince's inner circle. They all looked at me. It was the old, I'm an outsider. Who did he ever beat? Did he pay his dues? All that bullshit, bro. Because at that time, the inner circle was, Patterson and, Bruce Pritchard. And, you got guys, like Cornette there. And whether it was J.J. Dillon, whether he was still there or it was Jim Ross. So, like, I was always very careful to not overstep my boundaries. And also, bro, you got to understand they lacked the creative so badly that I knew it was just going to be a matter of time before they completely buried themselves anyway. So like I'm contributing, but I'm really not crossing that line because the politics would have ate me up at that point. Bro, there was a time. I'm gonna tell you, John. I know we're going a little bit off track, but I think it's more important than the pay-per-view, so you know the history. There was a time, bro, you got to understand something. This all started because I believe J.J. Dillon went to WCW and Bruce Pritchard wanted his job. That's how this all began. Pritchard and Cornette were doing the writing. JJ left. Bruce wanted the job in talent relations. Okay? So Bruce gets the job in talent relations. Vince puts me in Bruce's spot of the writing TV. So it was Vince, me, and Cornette for a while. Okay? Bro, I don't know what happened. Something went horribly wrong when Bruce was in talent relations because he did not have that job for long. I don't know what happened. To this day, bro, I don't know what happened, but it's almost like as quickly as he was in there, he was out. So now he was out. That's probably when JR came in. Now Bruce is in no man's land. Okay? So now, bro, Bruce is starting to play politics to get his old job back, which I now have. So I'll never forget, bro, I was in Bruce's office once, and he said to me, he said, Vince, he goes, I had a conversation with Debbie Bonanzio today. Debbie Bonanzio, bro, used to run creative services. Creative services, John, is where they come up with, all the pay-per-view campaigns and the marketing, but they also come up with, designs for new characters, what characters are going to look like, what they're going to wear. Creative services, bro, was right next to the publications department. So I had a great relationship with everybody in creative services. I worked right next to them for years. So Bruce pulls me aside one time and he said, Vince, I had a conversation with Debbie Bonanzio. Man, she told me you've been very hard to work with. I got to tell you, John, like I was absolutely shocked. Like, what? Like, I worked really well with Debbie and I knew Debbie really, really well. And I was really saddened by this. And I'm thinking, what was it, a conversation? What happened? So see, bro, this is where Bruce made a mistake because he didn't know me that well. And I don't play the wrestling game. John, what do you think's the first thing I'm going to do?
Go to Debbie, see what happened.
Exactly. So I go right to Debbie. I said, Debbie, man, if I offended you in any way, I said, I am sorry. I'm not sure what I did. She goes, Vince, what are you talking about? And I'm like, Bruce told me that you told. She goes, Vince, I never had a conversation with Bruce Pritchard about you. Oh, okay. So now I'm like, oh, okay. So, bro, I got to be honest with you. When I went to Vince's house to write television that week, I said to Vince, Vince, I'm going to lay this all out to you. I don't play politics, bro, because you know why? Playing politics is going to get in my way of doing a good job for you in writing this show. My priority should be 100% on writing this show and not dealing with bullshit politics. I don't want to deal with politics, bro. I don't care if it's the wrestling business. I don't care if it's the way of the business. I don't want to deal with it. So he's like, okay, Vince, what happened? So I laid out the exact story. Bro, from that day forward, Bruce never effed with me again. So I don't know if Vince read him the riot act. I don't know if Vince went to Debbie and said, listen, Debbie, I just want to get this all clear. But whatever Vince said to Bruce, that was the end of his politicking concerning me. That was the end of it.
Very interesting. Bruce making stuff up. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's how, but bro, that's how I found out. I mean, that's exactly how I found out.
So as far as this show, speaking of backstage politics, this is where that kind of ties into this too, because obviously Michaels and Triple H are like the master politicians, maybe still are. They, according to Bret, got him off of the poster and off of the U.S. release. So storyline wise, they say that Bret isn't on there because he hates the U.S. He's pro Canada. His matches, it shouldn't even be included. Like that was the excuse. Bret obviously says, like, that doesn't make sense. I'm a world champion. Why am I not on this card? And Michaels versus Bulldog is going to end up being on the pay per view and on the poster, and it's going to be the main event. What happened? Like, why isn't Bret Undertaker on the U.S. version? Why is it not advertised? Why is it, what's kind of politics happened here?
Bro, I have no idea because that was above my pay grade before I was heavily involved. I honestly don't know. I could tell you this though, bro, from everything that you're telling me and knowing the system and knowing the game, this wasn't an important pay-per-view. It almost sounds to me, bro, like they were contractually obligated to do this. So they really weren't promoting this hard. That's what it sounds like to me, bro. But I don't know the intricacies of any of that.
So, like, the pay per view is in Canada, the pay per views in Europe. It's just not in the U.S. And Bret is not when they put the tape out in the U.S. is not on it either. So to me, it's just like, wow, that kind of like is weird. Like he's feuding with the Patriot before this, like Michaels and Undertaker is kind of the main event. Then when he's the world champion, still he feuds with Undertaker, but it's not the main event. Oh, when he's not on the pay per view technically, and he's not on the poster. So it either seems like something fell out with either Michaels and Triple H, politicking to get Bret off, or Vince kind of like seeing the writing on the wall. He's going to have to start writing Bret out of history here.
I think that's what it is, bro. I don't think Triple H and Shawn are going to have any influence over who's on the poster and who's. I don't think they're going to have any influence over that. I think this sounds like the beginning of Vince realizing, I don't know if he made the deal with Bret at this point, and he's realizing that he can't afford it. He's starting to see the early signs, and he's starting to kind of, weed Bret out of things a little bit. I would like 100% go with that theory.
It's interesting because like 6 weeks later or so, when Survivor Series hits in '97, obviously he's gone and the whole Montreal Screwjob happens. But it almost seems like he's kind of thinking about it now. So it's almost like, well, just have Undertaker beat him for the title here. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's thinking about it, but he's not pulling the trigger. Like, oh, let's get Bret off of everything. But the most important thing, he's still the champ.
It's probably too, bro, because he doesn't want Bret to know. You see what I'm saying? Like if he did something drastic, then Bret would have to say, what the F? So Vince was probably trying to do this without letting Bret know it was something bigger. That's what I would assume.
So we know that Bret was pissed, but we don't know about Undertaker. You think Undertaker's pissed? Now on the poster, he's
I
not.
don't think so, bro, because I wouldn't be that much surprised if Taker knew why. I wouldn't be, because Vince and him had that relationship. And if it really got down to, listen, bro, I can't afford to pay him what we agreed to. I mean, I would not be shocked if Taker knew about it.
the thing is too, it's like, okay, it's the world title match, it's the rematch. I mean, this is a huge thing for Undertaker, not only Bret Hart, but it's a huge thing for Undertaker, and they're kind of sweeping it under rug. Even to me, it's like obviously Taker's not winning. You know what I mean? That they're not putting any sort of cachet behind a rematch for a pay per view after you just had a huge SummerSlam. I don't know. To me, it
But
just
see
weird.
that's it too, bro. That's it too. If Vince knows at this point that Brett's on his way out, he's not going to put him over Taker because Taker's going to be there. You know what I'm saying? So if Brett is going to remain the champion and Vince doesn't want to smarten Brett to what's going on, you're not going to do this on the big scale. You're going to make this available to as many as few people as possible. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
But with Brett, he says basically it kind of motivated him and Undertaker that they were almost like kind of the background, they're the semi main event that they went out there, they had an awesome match and they killed her. So it almost like motivated them and pissed them off. Like why are we semi main event? I know Bulldog is England,
See,
but
I don't know, bro. That could have been Taker just playing along. I'm
mm,
I'm sure Brett felt that way, one
yeah.
thousand percent. But bro, that's just how the wrestling business is, man. I mean, Taker may have had that information that Brett did not have because you said 6 months later a Survivor Series. It was months before that where Vince had to have the conversation that I can't afford to pay you. So that's where all of this was leading.
So here we go with the actual pay per view itself. We'll talk about all the matches. Hunter Hearst Helmsley with China defeats Dude Love in about 13 minutes. And obviously, we know Dude Love, he beat Hunter Hearst Helmsley at SummerSlam in the cage. But, like, can he really kind of. It seems like Triple H every time in this long feud somehow gets the one up. Like then China will help. So then a few days later he'll bring back Cactus Jack and finally kind of end the feud and beat Triple H with a nice pile driver through a table. So it seemed like I don't know. Maybe you're at home writing this, but are you saying like, Dude Love can't beat this guy? Let's bring Cactus Jack. Who's like the one that kind of wants another character in there for
It's
our fold?
what it really is, bro, is you want to keep both characters strong. And again, if a lot of spotlight isn't being put on this pay-per-view, then beating Mick as Dude Love here isn't really going to hurt him. It gets Hunter the win and it gets Hunter over him, but it's really not going to hurt Mick that much because it's not on a big stage. But then you come back on the big stage with Cactus Jack. So now you've really elevated both of them. That's the idea behind it.
So Triple H beats Dude Love here. Then we go on to the next match. Tiger Ali Singh with his dad, Tiger Jeet Singh, defeats Leaf Cassidy in 4 minutes. What do you think about Tiger Ali Singh? Did you think that was a big signing by you guys?
Well, bro, first of all, the Tiger Ali Singh was a very talented guy. He was a very talented guy. He was a good looking guy. He was a great performer. He physically looked good, bro. The problem was the office and the old man. There was always a lot of disagreeing. I'm sure a lot of it had to do with money. Tiger Ali Singh was letting his dad run his career, and that's what happened. I mean, that's why the relationship ended. It all came down to his dad and the office not agreeing and not getting along, and he kind of got caught in the crosshairs.
Seems like Tiger Jeet Singh is a legend in Canada, in Japan for sure. I don't know about the US so much. So when you're saying, "Oh wow, we're signing Tiger Ali Singh, his son," me as a fan too, I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one
Oh
paper you
yeah,
sitting
no,
in the
I mean,
crowd, like it was like this
yeah,
big deal. It was
no,
like, is it a big
it
deal?
it was no big deal to me. I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. Now I don't know, again, Pritchard and Ross and guys like that. I don't know if it's a big deal to them, but I mean, it was not a big deal to me.
I liked him. I thought he had potential, but it was just like they were trying to almost say he was bigger than he was when he wasn't anything as of yet. Like when he debuted,
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't like
agree.
they were getting a guy from WCW or something. I mean, he's
I
just
agree.
there.
I agree 100% with that. Yep.
And Leaf Cassidy. I know we're talking about Al Snow before, but Leaf Cassidy, you liking that gimmick at all or no?
I hated that gimmick, man. Absolutely hated it. Terrible, 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 terrible.
What was what was the name? What was it like Leaf whatever
Leaf,
whatever the last
what was it? Leaf Garrett, Leaf Garrett,
Leaf
and
Garrettson or Leaf
Sean,
Garrett?
David Cassidy, Sean Cassidy. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's a combination of both.
yeah.
Man, that's just so like 80s corny.
Terrible, terrible,
And this
terrible,
is 1997.
terrible, bro. Awful.
Obviously, when he does the head stuff and goes, ECW and then goes back, like that's Al Snow. Like Leaf Cassidy's like, all right, just I guess I'm just trying to get a paycheck here.
Yeah, he was, I mean, he was in that good little hand category.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was just there to get people over. That was his job. That was it.
So the next match is a WWF Tag Team Championship match. The Headbangers of Mosh and Thrasher defend their tag titles, and they defeat Miguel Perez Jr. and Savio Vega in about 13 minutes and 30 seconds. A long match for the Bariquas and the Headbangers here. Seems kind of crazy. I mean, they're getting so far the most time on the pay-per-view, and the Headbangers go over and they beat the Bariquas. Anything here like that sticks out to you? Like, oh yeah, this will be,
Nah,
like you know what I mean?
nah,
Like,
no, bro.
I like the Headbangers, but the
Yeah,
Bariquas, they weren't.
they love, again, bro. They love the Bariquas because they were all good workers. That's why
Yes,
they love them.
definitely.
I hated it.
Yep.
I hated the guy. I remember, bro. I don't know if people remember this. There was at the very beginning, bro. I remember they all used to come out dressed in white. And I
Yes.
was like, what are they, ice cream men? I mean, that's what I really thought. And then, Bruce gave me this whole thing. Oh no, bro, that's how the Hispanics really dress this out. And I'm like, bro, they look like freaking ice cream men. But they are all there, bro, because they're good workers.
Yep.
That's why they are there.
And did you like the Headbangers?
Yeah, I mean, bro, I always liked the Headbangers, but I think, man, there was so much good talent above them that it was really just difficult to move them up to that A class. Today they would be. I mean, no doubt in my mind, they'd be main eventers today. But back then, bro, there was so much good talent. It was just really hard to get them on top. But I
I
like them. I mean, I like them both.
feel like they always liked it for whatever reason. Because remember when LOD makes their big return? I think it was early '97. They make that big return, and they're fighting in Manhattan Center against Headbangers, and LOD doesn't win, but Headbangers don't lose. Like it was kind of whatever the count out, schmoz finish, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It was like, well, LOD can't even beat the Headbangers on their return. Like, what the hell's going on here with the LOD?
Yeah.
It just kind of showed they looked like the Headbangers, maybe not so
Yeah.
much LOD.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, but I guess they always like them. They're both good workers for sure. I
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
they
yeah.
came back to WWF in what 2017. They still look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
The next match up, the Patriot Del Wilkes defeats Flash Funk, aka Two Cold Scorpio, in just about 9 minutes. Pretty good match here. Nothing as far as storyline. It's almost like something you probably don't like. Cold match. Just throw
Just
them
a
out there.
filler.
Have a good
Yeah.
match.
Yeah, that's it. Just a filler. All of what we watched on Raw last night. Yeah.
Really? Okay. So no storyline progression. What about Trish? That was the storyline progression. No. No?
I, bro, I would one time just love it to not be the same story. You know what I'm saying? I would love it one time, bro, to be something behind the scenes that was personal and nobody knew about. Either,
Right.
you had an affair with my husband, you buried me to so and so, you played politics, and I would love it to be something like that other than I'm the women's division. I made the women's division. Yeah, I've heard it a million times, man. Just give me something with a new spin, man. That's all.
Next up, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal defeat the Godwins, Henry O. Godwin and Phineas I. Godwin in about 11 minutes. Nothing too crazy here, just LOD getting a big win. Always got a big pop, especially in the UK. Still very popular here in '97. Anything here, like, were they thinking anything with LOD? Because it just kind of seems like they were like they could beat the Godwins, but they're just kind of flatlining here until
See,
really
bro,
the
that's
Outlaws take off, and then they use them as a springboard for the Outlaws.
that's the thing with Vince, bro. It's unless he owns you, you're not going to be booked to your full potential. And obviously, bro, the LOD, were made, long before they came to the WWE the first time. I
Yeah.
mean, these guys were absolute legends. I'm sure they got paid a lot of money. And that, bro, that just does not work for Vince, man. So again, it's like at the end of the day, I'm sure there were some monetary issues that I didn't know about, but it was never push LOD to the moon.
Talked to some other wrestlers in the past, and they said like when they're older and they come back, Vince kind of says to them like, your role now. You're not getting this big push. You think that was ever said to LOD? Like, your role now, pal. You're not getting that big
Probably,
push.
bro. I mean, it was said to Hogan
Hmm.
before he went to WCW. I mean, Vince wanted him to be the Babe Ruth, and Hogan wasn't ready to be the Babe Ruth. So if he had that conversation with Hogan, he definitely had it with LOD.
Because I've talked to guys where they weren't ready, then they left, and they came back, and he had the same conversation with them again. Like, are you ready this time? Like, you're going to be putting guys over, and are you getting ready for the next generation of talent, or whatever line it is that he uses. But he's
Yeah.
basically saying, like, I'm going to use you guys to get this guy over. That's the business, pal.
Yep.
That's what
Time and honor tradition.
Yes, the time honored tradition. You job to this guy to get the next guy over. Yes, yes. So I'm guessing he had that conversation because a little bit after this, the Outlaws really got put to the moon thanks to LOD. I mean,
Yeah.
he really got them over, or they got them over. Yeah.
And I could tell you, Vince was 1,000% behind the Outlaws. 1,000%.
So next up, Vader, aka Big Van Vader, defeats Owen Hart in about 12 minutes. Good match here, but again, not much of a kind of story thing. I know Vader was basically a babyface. He was teaming with Bret before this, and kind of doing team with the Patriot before this against Bret and Bulldog. So I mean, it's kind of one of those things where Vader's kind of a babyface. He's kind of feuding with the Canadian guys, or really feuding with the Hart Foundation. But do they really have any big plans for Vader? We're always talking about him and how they don't have big plans. In a few months, he's going to be jobbing to Kane and kind of being fodder. It almost seems like there's never big plans for Vader, but he does get a big win here for Owen Hart.
Yeah, bro, I told you, man, for whatever reason, and I don't know where it came from, he was always the butt of everybody's joke. I mean,
Crazy.
he just was. And, bro, listen, I don't know, bro, I say this to you all the time, and he may have been doing this as a rib. Bro, the guy never washed his gear. And to the point, bro, of it smelling like puke. Like when he walked by, you knew it smelled like throw up. I mean, it really did. And bro, now he may have been doing that as a rib because he was working with Shawn a lot. And maybe he didn't like Shawn, and maybe that's why he was doing it. But you also got to understand now Shawn's going to go to Vince.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you got to understand all that. But like, bro, there were acts that, like, as the writer, I just knew they weren't behind for whatever reason. And if they're not behind them, bro, you're not going to be able to push them and get them over. So you're just not going to waste your time.
So next up, Bret Hart, the WWF World Heavyweight Champion, defeats The Undertaker by disqualification, retains the WWF Championship in about 28 minutes and 30 seconds.
Wow.
Really, really long, but really, really good match. Almost seemed like Bret was a little bit motivated. I mean, not that he was always, I mean, he's the best, but always was good. But it just seemed like, wow, they're not the main event, they're the semi-main event. They really took it to another gear. Awesome match. Schmaz finish. Bret wins by DQ, but obviously retains the title. Undertaker technically doesn't get pinned or submitted either. So no harm, no foul here. But again, not on the U.S. version, not on the VHS tape either here in the U.S. So weird. They just kind of wiped it from the memory bank.
Yeah, it's almost like they didn't want to see they didn't want to see Taker lose. I mean, that they almost wanted to whitewash that. That's what it looks like.
Great match, though. I mean, I got the VHS version from the UK, the tape. I watched. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Why, I didn't understand the politics. I'm like, why the hell is this not on the other tape? This is the
Yeah,
best match in the car. Like, what the
yeah.
hell is going on here? But
Always
obviously,
always politics, bro. It's
yes.
always politics.
Yes, yes. And then finally, the main event of the evening, Shawn Michaels with China, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and Rick Rude, the combination of DX, defeats the British Bulldog by submission. Bulldog technically gets knocked out when he's in the figure four, and Shawn Michaels wins the WWF European Championship. What do you think here? Not only does Michaels go over in the UK, which seemed like a no-no. It seemed like every time you guys went to the UK or somebody's country, Canada, Bret would win. If they're in Mexico, even though Tito technically isn't from Mexico, but they pretended he was, he'd win in Mexico. If they go to Spain, he's not from Spain, but he'll win in Spain. Like Bulldog in the UK, he wouldn't lose. What do you think about Michaels going over and then Michaels kind of winning the European title, which almost seems like, does Michaels really need the European Championship of all things?
Well, I don't know, bro. It could have been a couple of things. It could have been just trying to get more heat on Michaels. It could have been that, or it could have been dog. It could have been Bulldog in the dog house for a failed test. Like you don't know, bro. You never know. It could be one little thing like that, and because, bro, usually they're also a send the people home happy type of
Yes.
company. And
Yes.
they did not do that here. So that tells me, man, there was maybe something more here than meets the eye.
Michaels politicking for that?
Either that or Bulldog getting himself in trouble doing something.
Because Bulldog, this is a while back, obviously, many, many like decades ago, did an interview and basically was saying, "I thought I was going to win. I was supposed to win. I don't know what happened." Like
Yeah.
I don't know if he's playing dumb or if he's being serious. Like something happened with Michaels that Michaels ended up getting the win.
Yeah. Bro, I honestly have no idea, bro.
To me, it's just weird. It's like sometimes you think, is that going to kill the market? Obviously, it didn't kill the market in the UK, because you guys started the Attitude Era and start getting more and more popular. But is that a fear? Like, if we, the crowd doesn't go home happy, are they going to be pissed? Like, this is their
Nah, bro,
hometown.
because the attitude, especially back then, bro, the attitude is we're gonna do this whether you like it or not, and you're gonna like it. I mean, that was really the attitude.
What do you think about Michaels going over here though and being the European champion? Does that mean anything? Like
It's a
European champ, that's
waste.
kind of
It's a total
right.
waste. Absolutely total waste. I remember watching the Raws with him as the European champion. It's just a total waste.
Did he need a belt because Brett was the world champ? Like, what's the thought process?
Bro, I don't know unless it was punishment to the Bulldog. That's what, looking at this now, that's what all points sign to.
Because Michaels legit just lays down and Triple H pins him. He becomes the European. It like became like a joke. Like,
Yeah,
what was the whole point? It almost just shit on Bulldog, big
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Almost looked like, okay, you're not going to show Brett on the card. Bulldog is shit. It's almost like the Hart Foundation is all kind of being Owen lost too. Like they're all kind of working their way out. It seems like.
yeah. And that's the thing too, bro. Like if Bulldog, had an ego and was hard to work with or something like that, I would tell you, no, I mean, not at all. I mean, he was never, ever, ever a problem, bro. So, like I said, man, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes.
So if we wrap it up and we head for the finish here with this show, is this typical like Raw? Like you said, was this just typical filler? We have to do this kind of show. Does this show seem like that to you?
Absolutely, 1000%. This show really did not mean anything in the big scheme of things. Absolutely not.
Anything like that you look at and can build on, or no?
Oh man. Not not really, bro. It almost feels like it was a contractual obligation. I mean, that's what it almost feels like. And bro, maybe they had that booked prior to WWE starting to get like a little hot. And who knows, bro, but yeah, it just seems like something that they had to do that they went out and did.
To me, it's always like almost like a forgettable show because Brett, the champion, isn't really on it technically.
Yep.
Michaels is going for a mid card title, and he beats the UK guy who's like the fan favorite. The people are throwing trash at DX at the end because they're pissed that their boy lost. I mean, the crowd was furious. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of, I don't know. It didn't leave a sour taste, but it wasn't one of the things where like, yay, let's,
Yeah.
WWF is back. You know what I mean? It wasn't
Bro,
wasn't a flag show.
I remember there was no pressure put on me whatsoever to go to this. So that's why I know it was no big deal.
Right.
If this were an important show, Vince would have made sure that I went to it, but it obviously it wasn't.
Right. All right, let's head towards the plugs. You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check the website, tmptempire.com. Voots, what do you got?
Yeah, guys, just check everything out at russosbrand.com. That's where you'll find me in all my shows.
All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll see you right back here next week for another podcast. We'll see you then, folks. Have a good one.